But with the rebranding,
Right.
it's because no one can pronounce it. Just be honest.
I mean, that is probably. Listen, dude. I am fully agreed with you on that. It's like, all the acronyms and all the different things. I mean, I tell you what, it is the one thing that we can compare on is, okay, what in a company and in a business, right, is going to play well for the audience, right?
Right.
And if we're moving to Florida and we got a Schenectady here, it's just like you said, it's a little, you know how it goes.
But you look at the branding though too. Yeah, right. You have trust right in the name.
Be Nice Individuals Podcast.
Hey folks, this is Thaddeus on the Be Nice Individuals Podcast, which is hosted here at the Flagler Voice Podcast Studio. I have none other than Vinny from Trustco Bank. You guys have seen him around. Because of Vinny, you know something about 1902, but we'll have him explain that in just a second. Vinny, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great, Thaddeus. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah. Awesome, Trustco Bank, 1902. That's how we know Trustco is because of you. You're the brand. You're the face.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I definitely am. I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to work for a company that's been around for so long, but it's taking care of their employees and their community. So, trusted and true. If you haven't heard it since 1902.
That's beautiful. Now you're a hometown bank. So do you have branches around, or did you start here? Kind of tell me a little bit more about that.
So I've been with Trustco Bank for 7.5 years. So I've had the opportunity of learning a lot about our history and like where we came from. So we actually started in Schenectady, New York.
Where the heck is? But go ahead.
Hey, listen. I said the same thing when I first started.
Yeah.
I didn't even know how to spell it. 7.5 years later, I still have no idea how to spell it. But I'll tell you this. So it's in upstate New York.
Yeah.
Again, started in 1902. A lot of people that have moved down here that have lived in New York and moved down here from upstate or downstate probably know exactly where that is.
Sure.
If you ever watch Will and Grace, that's where they drive every single.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. It's to see the parents and the grandparents, all that good stuff.
Schenectady.
Schenectady. I mean,
that's what it sounds like. Some type of disease. No offense, guys.
It's okay.
No offense.
It's okay. So it's called Schenectady Bank and Trust.
Okay.
And it was, we had plans of moving in Florida in the 80s. So,
Sure.
So really this was all about a rebrand. So when we rebranded to Trustco Bank because that reason, right? If a Schenectady Bank and Trust came into Florida, what would that look like?
Yeah.
So we started here actually in Florida in 2004 with 4 branches.
Yeah.
And in 20 years we've expanded to 53. So
wow.
While technology has advanced and while we have also kind of tried to follow in suit as well,
sure,
that hometown feel and that personal touch I think is so important. And I don't think anything can really replace that.
Yeah, just being able to go in and talk to somebody, sit down, them knowing your name, that sort of thing. It's super important. But with the rebranding,
right,
it's because no one can pronounce it. Just be honest.
I mean, that is probably. Listen, dude. I am fully agreed with you on that. It's like all the acronyms and all the different things. I mean, I tell you what, it is the one thing that we can compare on is okay, what in a company and in a business, right, is going to play well for the audience, right?
Right.
And if we're moving to Florida and we got a Schenectady here, it's just like you said, it's a little, you know how it goes.
But you look at the branding though too. Yeah. Right. You have trust right in the name, Trustco. And people, every time they see that, they're gonna be like, I trust that brand. Well, I trust that bank.
And a lot of things, from where I started in my life. My grandfather raised me as it's my only father figure, so I learned a lot of those old traditional values. Yeah. Serving in your community, being a part of your community. having that one-on-one contact,
Sure.
and understanding the value of important relationships. Every relationship shouldn't be taken for granted. Any
Yeah.
relationship is just as important as the next one.
Right.
How do you think we're here, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, a lot of it's based off of it.
Yeah.
So
Which is huge, because I know you from being out in the community networking. I met you at a networking group, which is so interesting because the amount of networking you do, I always forget you're not on Facebook.
right.
I always forget. I'm like, yeah, Vint, no, he's not there because you're everywhere else. But I mean, you're on like LinkedIn and such, but you're not on like Facebook.
Right.
And I want you to be on Facebook, but you refuse.
And you want to know something? I think every person has their niche, right? You
Yeah.
know, like everybody has their niche market. Personally, and I'm aware of it. I know,
Sure.
I know, like, if I put us on Facebook or, Twitter, well, what now, X, Instagram, and that sort of thing, it would definitely play part. But again, for me personally, I'm very much, I try to stay grounded in kind of who I am. And if I spend too much time, everything is about time, and
Absolutely.
and
you only have so much of it.
Exactly. And money is abundant, but time is not. And I think I think we know a specific person that should get on this podcast one day, which I'll hold you on a cliffhanger who says that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's really it. I keep it on LinkedIn, because in my industry, really, it's about the professionals. We always want to be direct consumer contact.
Sure.
But those professionals normally relate to positive, really enforcing relationships, and
Sure.
LinkedIn is good. I'll be honest with you. LinkedIn is more or less like, it's my way to say, hey, I have some sort of social media presence.
There you
right?
go. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just like I said, being raised by my grandfather, having those, I lived with my grandfather for about a year in a retirement home, which, it was very, very, very awesome. So I got a chance to learn a lot about, again, that nothing is more important than the relationships that you have with others. And social media has its presence,
Sure.
but that face to face,
You can't freaking change that. And I think you excel. I'll say this, you excel with the face to face, and I just seeing you out, we've crossed paths at so many different events. I'm like,
Right.
Vinny, maybe it's because you're not on social media like that you have, it's kind of like a sense.
it's
okay?
important to disconnect.
Yeah. But maybe it's like a certain sense. Like if you lose your sense of hearing, maybe you advance in another sense because of that. And I think because you're not on social media like that, guess what has elevated? I think your in person has elevated.
You know what that is? I think that you're spot on with that. I definitely think, again, computer time is everything to know. Okay, there is an element that is outside of that mechanical realm.
Sure.
As much again, I know that social media has a very strong output and a very strong influence in our community, but again, like that face to face contact creates something where that first input in your mind. And on top of that, more face-to-face does increase attention span. So you can't
That's true. That is very true.
And that's also the reason why I could probably hold a one-to-one for 2 hours.
That is true.
So.
Now, this kind of relates back to Trustco too, though. Old school values. So in the old school ways, you didn't have social media. You had to reach out and be more directly connected to that individual versus just being online and you never see a tailor or anything like that. So tell me kind of about Trustco's values and how that is essential for this area.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing, being raised in this area, to understand where the roots come in this community. That's a big caveat, being involved in your community, being well networked. You go to like the metro areas, like really it's about business, it's about the online presence, about immediate, gratification. And those places have strengths for that. Like those are their niches, that's how they make business.
Sure.
But in this community, for example, it's always been about community. community. It's always been about your neighborhood. It's always been about, helping out the person that's next to you, and, having a more personable relationship with those people that you do network with.
Yeah.
And that is one thing that, at Trustco, and especially in our branch, like, we really thrive on that. We have the 3-ring policy at our branch. Not one of our tellers or, assistant branch managers are sitting there waiting for that phone call to go to voicemail. We don't have one. So so we have that personal contact. And, if we have to go above and beyond for certain, customers, for example, go out and make deposits or go out and do withdrawals or budgeting and that sort of thing, we're more than happy to not have to have an appointment, for example, to be able to go out and help those people when they need it.
Yeah.
So
now tell me some of the different services that you guys have that really make you guys stand out. Maybe not just services, but products. I know we had talked about home equity line of credit before and stuff like that, and how you guys can stand out as opposed to some of the other banks and whatnot. So can you speak to those?
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Our home equity products are fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have right now with our mortgage product. I mean, we have a second to none product, I really think.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it always helps out. We are a conservative lender, so a lot of our products are based upon, pretty strong qualifications.
Sure.
But, and that's where our referral out to other lenders and, really helps us and really drives that relationship. But our lending product, actually, we do 97% financing of the purchase price and don't charge private mortgage insurance. So they don't pay mortgage insurance within that monthly payment.
Interesting.
Right. And how we do that is because we are a portfolio lender, which means we don't sell our mortgages.
Oh.
So we have a full on, so it's great. The product is really good. And of course where interest rates are, not being able to worry about that extra $100 to $200 a month.
Yeah. Yeah, if you had glossed over that, I was going to come back to that because, look, that's huge. And $100, $200, that's the difference between affording this house or not for a lot of people. Like, this is close to kind of what I was paying for rent. I could do that. But now we're having to come up with an extra $100, $200, especially now with inflation, things have happened. Right. I know some stuff is coming back down with about the, like the interest rates and stuff, but still people will always be living kind of tight. It's just the nature of life.
Right. And that's the thing. And that's where we kind of learned, we wanted to create this product based on that same scenario. Nobody is sitting here wanting to pay extra fees if they don't have to. Yeah. If you're not in the real estate industry, you may not know this, but PMI covers the lender in case you default on the mortgage. Mm-hmm. So essentially you're paying the bank or paying the lender, essentially saying, in case I don't pay my mortgage, you're covered.
Yeah.
So, and I would say 90 something percent of all lenders, require that 20% down to avoid that private mortgage insurance.
Interesting.
So it's huge. It is huge.
Yeah. But you guys, you're saying, and make sure I get this right, you're handling those mortgages in-house. Like you're not just, here, I'll say it. I'll say it, darn it. But we bought a couple houses, me and my wife, in our time.
Right.
And you start with the company, but I feel like I get like sold around, and I don't want to say the word, but I feel like I'm kind of on this cycle, and sometimes you don't even know who you're supposed to send payment to anymore. Right.
Yeah. And that has been a pain point for a lot of people. Yeah. And believe it or not, while we have the no PMI product, the one thing that really grabs everybody is the fact that we don't sell our mortgage. Yeah. And while you might save thousands of dollars not paying private mortgage insurance, it's that convenience factor. Yeah. And this is also where it comes back to what we were saying before. Your time is one of the things that is not abundant. Mm-hmm. And so if you're spending more time downloading apps, creating usernames, creating passwords for all these different products, it makes life a little less convenient, and that's again, that's a pain point.
Right.
I always use this, and I'll say it on a podcast, and I may get some backlash on this, but I always like to say, Mr. Cooper does your mortgage and changes your tires. So there you go.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
and it's one of those things, I know people that have had that mortgage sold to Round Point or sold to, another financial institution, and then that financial institution sells it off.
Yeah.
So, it takes away, it takes away from that, inconvenience factor to not sell the mortgage.
Well, it's not just that though, too. This individual has come in, shook your hand,
Right.
gotten that hometown feel, right? And then that's what they bought into.
And that's
then
essentially the reason why we have it is because, again, like the bank looks at it from a perspective of, we want to keep our customers.
Yeah.
And we want those customers to last for a long time. And if we have that mortgage product that we don't sell, what comes with that? Then comes the deposits, the deposit relationship, because they know that their hometown bank is going to hold their mortgage.
That's cool.
So they're going to want to have that full relationship with us.
That's cool.
And refer their friends and family. Of course, we know how that goes. That's important.
That's super cool.
Right.
Vinny, I want you to throw out your contact information for the audience so that they can reach out to you and make sure that they get in touch for all their business and their personal needs.
Right. Yeah. So, I know we didn't touch on it too much here, but we do a lot for our business community as well.
Yeah.
Unlimited transactions, access to 55,000 ATMs worldwide. So, So any CVS, Walgreens, Winn-Dixie, Publix, they're all free ATMs to use.
Oh, wow. Okay. Free to use. Okay.
Free to use. So it keeps that flexibility and the change. Restaurants really can utilize those. But anyways, if you would love the opportunity to come by our branch and, set up a one-to-one, at some point, just to kind of grab some coffee and just go over those things. My phone number at the branch is 386-524-5044. My email address is vdavis, VDAVIS, at trustcobank.com. And then we're located right in Target Plaza, right behind the Walgreens on 100 and Belle Terre. So
nice.
Obviously would love to have you guys along.
That's perfect.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, guys, I want you to reach out to Vinny at Trustco Bank. Look, he's in the community. This is the old school, hometown feel, One of the things that really highlights that is the fact that when they get your mortgage, when you've trusted them in the process, they're not going to just shuttle you off to the next company so that they can clear their portfolio and they don't have to worry about the headaches. No, they're wanting to keep you there around as family, which is super important, especially when you're looking for a bank that you can trust. Okay, so make sure you guys reach out to Vinny for not just your mortgage or anything like that, but also home equity lines of credit or any of your banking needs.
Right.
Super important to have somebody that you trust. So again, this has been Thaddeus, one of the Be Nice Individuals podcast, which is hosted here at the Flagler Voice podcast studio. Guys, what?
You are amazing, Thaddeus, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And, if you guys, and again, as a business community, if you get the opportunity to go onto a podcast, you guys got to check out this studio. Got to get a chance to check out Thaddeus. This is incredible. This is
thank you,
so,
thank you,
man.
And guys, if you are a business, like Vinny said, you want to come in here, shout out your business, just kind of like what we did here with Vinny. We have space for you. If you're an individual and you just want to talk about your ideas, we have space for you here. If you're a politician that wants to reach out to your constituents, maybe take me up on this offer that I keep talking about with the live call-in features. We have that here if you want to be completely transparent and talk to your constituents.
Oh boy, that's exciting.
That could be exciting, right?
Yep.
We can make that happen here. So again, this has been Thaddeus and Vinny on the Be Nice Individuals podcast, hosted here at the Flagler Voice podcast studio. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening. Appreciate you guys.